Race number one at Eagle Farm for Group 1 Tatts Tiara Day is cutest 3-year-old handicap over the 1200 metres, and I've got Sort of Legacy on top for Nashra Willer and Matty Dunn. I think that this horse is hard to beat. Has been racing really well this preparation, bolting in its maiden 2 starts ago, running impressively to run third 2 starts ago, and then racing 3 wide with no cover last start in a forgivable run. And I think that this horse is on the way up, drawn well, winnable weight, and I think can get the job done. Propaganda in for second obviously has the form on the board, having 3 starts for 2 wins in a second, gets no weight for Anthony Allen, and a good draw and can go forward. Xenio is racing well for the McAvoy team and will run a race here and probably is over the odds at $10 for Ashley Morgan in the saddle. Fourth up, Hard Fit, Barrier 7, and Fasvara in for fourth. But I'm with Sort of Legacy in the first race. I think he can prove hard to beat. Race number 2 at Eagle Farm is a benchmark 85 handicap over the 1200 metres, and I've got one right down the bottom, Scheherazade, on the top. I hope I've said that right. But I think that this horse is hard to beat, considering it's got the right form on the board. Winner of its last 4 from 5, 3 starts aspiration for 2 wins in a second. It was very good last start and should, in my opinion, should have won. Barrier number 6, Perfect, has no weight on its back and should be screaming home, and I think we'll be getting the chocolates now that it's in the field with a couple of scratchings. I think it's clearly the one to beat. Bossed Up in for second at $11 is the horse that's suited at this grade, has been running really well at this grade. Last preparation, only Curry is second up, though gets Ben Thompson and Tony Gollan would have this horse ready and right to go. Barrier number 7, Zufani, another one for Gollan. For CJ Graham, is in great form this preparation, winning or running a place apart from its first start run, drawn Barrier 5 and could run a race here whenever its last 2 starts. And Navy on the highway in for fourth. If it found its best one, would be hard to beat, but it's only had 2 starts this preparation, and last start I thought was a little bit of a questionable run, let's say. But I think Scheherazade can win race number 2 at Eagle Farm. Race number 3 at Eagle Farm is the listed Tatts Stakes over the 1400 metres for the 2-year-olds, and I'm with Marfiano. I think that this horse is the class 2-year-old of this field. I think that the drift from 5 out to 750 is crazy, considering that this horse won on debut at Bendigo, ran really, really well on the coast, screaming home from the back, and was very gallant in defeat, I thought, last start. In the race, the lead-in race to this being at Eagle Farm, the Oxlade, beaten only by a Cool Gent and beat the rest of them comfortably. And the Oxlade's clearly the form I want to be following leading into this. He gets a draw that's going to suit him right down to the ground. He should get some cover from there. He comes screaming home, gets onto a drier surface, gets Dan Stackhouse in the saddle, and gets the blinkers on for the first time. So I think there's a lot leading here that can tell you that I think that Marfiano is a very good winning chance. Clocky in for second. This horse was screaming home on debut. Chris Waller for Ben Mallam, and I think that this horse can run a race here. Tannen won impressively in Sydney, so obviously has the Sydney form coming in here. A little bit of a career at the 1400 metres, considering that its main win was over 1300, but it's only an extra 100 metres and draws well. That has to come up significantly in grade to win, considering he won a pretty weak maiden. This is a pretty good race and hard to exceed in for fourth. Marfiano beat that horse comfortably last start, and I think can do it again. Marfiano for mine in the Tattersall Stakes. Race number 4 at Eagle Farm is the Ladbrokes 2026 Battle of the Bush final over the 1200 metres, and I've got the favourite in Revolt on top. I think it's a clear class edge on these, considering he brings the best form into the race. 10 from 16, winner of his last 3. He's only 7th up, where a lot of these are just starting to hit their peaks. So I think with that he can prove hard to beat. Should be going forward and be somewhere near the front and be hard to beat. I've got Peshawar in for second. This horse is the winner of its last two starts. Tommy Berry in there at all. Barrier number 3 should be going well. Car Bling, if he found his best, he'd bowled him, but he's not. He's not racing at his best. Having said that, he's been carrying big weights, and he will be enjoying a bit of weight relief, even carrying the 61 in top weight. And Sunny Coast in for fourth. I've got Revolt on top in the Battle of the Bush final. Race number 5 at Eagle Farm is the listed Tatts Gold Crown, over the 2100 metres for the fillies and mares, and I am with Panito. I've been on this horse quite a few starts this preparation, and I'm not dropping off here. This horse had its Sydney preparation, won its first start when it came up to Queensland, was 3 wide, no cover last start. And if you look at its form, isolating its form this preparation, man, this horse is racing well, considering it ran 4th behind Lazura. And behind Lazura first up, that horse went on to win a Group 1. Won in Sydney impressively, then settled 3 wide the trip, then went to the Group 1 Queen of the Turf, outclassed, won at its first start up in Queensland, and then was settled 3 wide no cover of the trip. So it settled 3 wide no cover of the trip twice in its preparation and won its other 2, and the other one was a Group 1 and the other one was first up. So I think he's got a lot going for him here, around the 2100 metres on his ear, and it's a big query about a lot of these in this field, particularly Hyperbolic. He's never seen past a mile before, though is racing really well. And gets Tommy Berry in the saddle. Gems in for third. This horse is only second up, so has a fitness query and the 2000 query, though draws well in Barrier number 4 in Walsh Bay. If he found his best form, he'd be right in this, but after 4 starts this preparation, he's struggling, and I couldn't have him any higher than 4th. Panito, while he's not, I think he'll win. Race number 6 at Eagle Farm is the Group 3 Touch Cup over the 2400 metres, and I've got Future History on top. Another one for Nash Rawiller. 56.5 kilos. It carries the same weight as most of these in this field. It's a small field, and I think that there's not a lot of speed here. Where you look at there's 3 main chances: Pounding, Future History, and Asterix. And I'd be surprised if one of the 3 of them didn't win. But there's no speed on here. I think Faulkner Park is the one that can take it up. Future History sits right on his hammer, right on his quarters. Third up, hard fit, ready to go, flying this preparation, and I think he can prove hard to beat. The draw should give Nash Rawiller options, and I think that he's the best horse in the race and should prove hard to beat. I've got Pounding in for second. He was very good in the Q22, screaming home. Luke Nolan in the saddle for the Moody Colton camp. Though there's a query about how many runs a horse can take before he needs the paddock, and he'll be closer to that stage than he's not. Asterisk in for third. Another one that comes to the Q22, Tim Clark for Chris Waller, and will run the 24 no problem. But I just think that Future History is a bit classier than that horse, and I've got Faulkner Park in for fourth. Future History for mine in the Tats Cup should prove hard to beat. Another one for Rawiller. Race 7 at Eagle Farm is the listed Tats Mile over the 1600 metres, and in my opinion, it's a 2-horse race between Sun God and War Eternal. Sun God gets 2.5 kilos on War Eternal from their meeting last start. This horse is only third up, ran straight past line back at first up, and I think the best way to ride this horse is ride him close enough that he's in a winnable position, but to have last crack and save him for one final run. And I think that's what's going to get the winning going to prove the winning margin here. I think that he's going really, really well. He's only third up, where War Eternal is. He's flying, yes, but he's probably looking for the paddock, considering he's had so many runs in. And Rachel King's not riding him, considering she rode him in these last 2 victories, and they switched to Tommy Berry. They both draw well. I just went with Sun God because he's got the 2.5 on War Eternal, and again, those 2 really do stand out in this field, head and shoulders above the rest of these. Warby in for third, I thought could run well. Fourth up with no weight, but draws wide in Barrier 11. Rising Pacific in for fourth. I think one of the 2 favourites will win, but I'm happy to go with Sun God with the 2.5 kilo weight pool. Race number 8 at Eagle Farm is the Group 1 Tatts Tiara, the fillies and mares at weight for age over the 1400 metres, the feature of the day, and I've got one at a massive price here, as everybody can see, Blinded by the Light. I know what a lot of people are going to say, how the hell can you be tipping this horse? I think if this horse is the forgotten horse in the market personally at $31, only having its 13th start tomorrow. It's fifth up, racing really well, and has no luck this preparation, gets the blinkers on for the first time, nose roll off, draws well, hopefully won't be too far away, can have the final crack at them, come screaming through and get the chocolates. Billy Egan on, it's his only ride for the day. This horse is fifth up, ran really well in City behind Idle Fly first up, who then went on to become a Group 1 winner in the Queen of the Turf, had no luck in Adelaide second up, and has had no luck in its 2 runs in Queensland so far, off settling too far back 2 starts ago, settled 3 wide the majority of the trip last start, and still ran a really good race, beaten just over a length. I think this horse is flying. I think $31 is a crazy price, and I think can win. Manal in for second. I was tossing up who I'd have on top between Manal and Blinded by the Light. And I've gone with Blinded by the Light purely because of the fitness. But Manal had absolutely no luck first up, and any turn, if the real Manal turns up, any form of her true form, she's gonna be hard to beat here. Gerringong in for third. I couldn't have Gerringong anywhere near the top 2, considering that Manal has met Gerringong on numerous occasions where he's had the weight advantage and beaten him fair and square. And Poster Girl in for fourth. But I'm with Blinded by the Light and the Tatts Tiara at $31. Hopefully she can win. Race number 9 at Eagle Farm to finish Tatts Tiara Day and to finish the carnival is the Group 3 Eureka Star WJ Healy Stakes over the 1200 metres, and I'm going to back the class runner in here. I'm going to be on Yellow Brick. Yes, he's got to carry the weight of 60 kilos, but he doesn't have to concede too much weight to other key winning chances. He's fourth up, hard fed, coming out of 2 Group 1s. He bolted in first up in the Archer. He then went to the Kingsford Smith and the Stradbroke. Probably not handling the class rise of those 2 races. Tommy Berry gets back on him here. He's got to carry the weight, but he's got a good draw, and I think he's going to be hard to beat and gets the crossover noseband for the first time. Hidden Wealth in for second. This horse has started favourite or in the market. All runs as preparation. Yes, he's been slightly disappointing, but he gets a good draw. Ben Thompson for Tony Gollan, and we know where he's going to be, somewhere towards the lead. In for third, I've got King of Sparta, who I think can be running on well. It was his third up off over 2 years break. Draws terribly, though, gets Chad Schofield for Peter Snowden, and I think we'll be charging home. And give me the Beat Boys in for fourth. But I've got Yellow Brick, the class runner, on top to hopefully take out the WJ Healy Stakes of 2026. Thank you everyone for watching my preview for the Tatts Tiara. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope that there are some winners on this card, and hopefully that I look like a genius after the Tatts Tiara tipping in one at such a massive price. But hopefully all's well that ends well, and we can get a couple of winners. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you for my next preview.